Good evening and welcome to Minority Caucus. I am Akbar Ruhullah Khomeini. It has been argued that those who are entrusted with the responsibility of taking care of the taxpayers' CD must be credible and trustworthy. Whereas this argument is sound and true, same cannot be said of the Mahama government. The reputable Gallup in the United States of America, Institute of Economic Affairs, and Center for Democratic Development, and the famous Africa Watch magazine have all concluded that the presidency, headed by Mr. Mahama, is the most, and in some cases the second most corrupt public institution in Ghana. President Rawlings had publicly declared that 65% of the appointees of the government are thieves, and citizen vigilante Martin Amidu describes the nature of the crimes as gargantuan. We will go for a commercial break. When we return, I would introduce my guest.
Will I take over? Give me opportunity. Who bet in the po? Who bet in the pa? Emmanuel, Anaju, Anapa, who bet in the po? Here I go.
Chairman, the whole member. So.
National Health Insurance Guarantee. Bayari team yari. Bayari chance but living manager teams go very can bang it. Ne ipi wahala. Kazuna fertilizer nyembor fertilizer ne kwa itonda. Ikutonda imbangi ne ipi wahala. Nyembor chance teacher training, medicine training zuna. Intonya allowance chance. Bayamba cancer allowance ma ikutonya oi ilimbangi ne ipi wahala. Kawala zuka tubo gamenti. La nekachena ntutum mbalgatu wahala kalala ama gamatu wanjana partu wahala te gamentilla ai nawon tilgantuna gamenti shaka ya tsaki wahala tamman yada ni gamenti shaka ya balgatu wahala yalanna na ado dankwa akufu aduga.
Those were interesting videos from the tours of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the NPP presidential candidate, and his running mate, Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia. Tonight, we'll be discussing endemic corruption under the Mahama government. And to help me do that, from my immediate left, as a private legal practitioner and member of the NPP National Communications Team, John Kuma. And to my right, also a member of the NPP National Communications Team, Hobson Obey. To our viewers out there, you can join the discussion via social media platform Facebook/Joy TV and on WhatsApp 0560800000. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, brother.
I'll start from you, Mr. Kumar. Corruption is so endemic in our country today. What is your opinion on that as far as the management of our country is concerned?
Thank you very much. Let me say a very good evening to viewers of Minority Caucus. It's a pleasure to be here this evening with them. The question of corruption is a very topical issue, especially if you look at the fact that the president has just recently returned from, they said what, a corruption conference, anti-corruption conference, where he got opportunity to address the world. And he messed himself up in that interview that the whole world was watching. And President Mahama was put a very simple question. Have you personally taken bribe before? And he has to put the question back to Peter Okocha. Do you mean me as president? And then the man said, yes, you personally, you, John Mahama, Mr. John Mahama, have you taken bribe before? Then the president said, you mean me as human being?
Or as president?
Then the president says, yes, you, John Mahama, personally, have you taken bribe before? He said, well, every human being would have come across corruption one way or the other. So, you know, by that statement, he was admitting that indeed he was very corrupt. He's taking bribes, and it is not anything unusual. And then he asked him specifically again, did you take it? First of all, he dodged it. He didn't want to answer. He didn't want to answer. So the man asked him again, Mr. President, did you take it? For the second time. Before he said, oh,
hold on, let's listen to the president.
What about you, Mr. President? Have you been offered a bribe before?
You mean as president?
As John Mahama?
As a human being?
As a person?
Any human being in the world would have encountered, you know, corruption in a way, one way or the other.
We just listened to the president. He was asking whether as president
or as a human being. Maybe he preferred that they would ask him as a dead goat. You know, he loves to refer to himself as a dead goat. Maybe if they have asked whether as a dead goat he has received bribe before, he would have said yes. You see, it's very typical of President Mahama and the NDC. And last week, I'm told that the former General Secretary of our party, Sir John, has described President Mahama and NDC and corruption as designer wear. They love to be corrupt. And if you look at the NDC, I mean, right from when they came back to power in 2009 to today, I mean, from the issues of judgment debt, where judgment debt became a monumental industry. The NDC officials were knocking at the doors of people. Have you done any government project? Even if you don't have contract, come, like Woyombe, who confessed on radio that he didn't have any contract with government. He was paid over 52 million Ghana cedis. We know of Waterville. We know of Isofoto.
Even when the court said they shouldn't pay.
Even when the court said they shouldn't pay, they met, they created. That's why when the matter went to court, you heard Justice Doche famously stated that, I mean, it has become an industry of create, loot, and share. And it cuts across all levels of government. The president is so deeply involved in corruption that it is not something he can even address. And if you remember, the former Attorney General and the NDC government, Mr. Martin Amidu, came out to say that the former president before his death, President Atta Mills, had to set up a committee to investigate the then Vice President, John Mahama, who is currently the president. And you know, up till today, we don't know the outcome of
and
that.
he has never responded to that allegation.
He cannot respond to Martin Amidu because there's only truth, one truth. And it's like a cock. You can't force it underwater. So clearly, President Mahama and corruption, they are two inseparable words you cannot do anything about. And I think that if South Africans are bold to refer to Jacob Zuma as a thief, I don't know if there will be a better word to describe President Mahama in Ghana. Maybe he's a stealer. You understand? Because look, the issue of bus branding. How can you, as president, order your picture to be put on a bus, just your picture, and that alone is costing the taxpayers 3.6 million Ghana cedis? It's unreasonable, it's unfair, it's just an abuse of power. And we are at the same time being told that we cannot pay nurses training allowances. We are being told that we cannot pay teachers training allowances. We are being told that there is not enough money to create jobs for the youth to find jobs to do. We are being told that there's not enough money to generate power, and so we are in doomsday and industries are dying.
For years.
For years. So you see the misplaced priority of this government, and especially President Mahama. Look, if you go into Jeddah, the matters are worse. You talk about tree plantings, where they claim to have spent about $18 million to plant trees in the north in the dry season. You talk about Azontaba, who claims that he was rearing guinea fowls at the cost of $30 million.
And we can't find
And we can't even find one. I mean, they said they were training youth in bicycle riding. That alone was $15 million. I didn't know where they trained those youth in bicycle riding. And I mean, it is just create loot and share under President Mahama. Every opportunity to make money, they will find money. And you see, I think the only thing that gets funding under President Mahama is corruption. If it's anything that will bring them money, then they will find a reason to allocate funds to it. Like recently, we are told that there's something called idle funds sitting at the Bank of Ghana. And so the government goes to borrow $1 billion in the name of Eurobond. And then instead of using the $1 billion to develop the country, we are told that 1/4 of that money, that's about $250 million, lies idle at the Bank of Ghana, and they call it idle funds. Even though they claim they have allocated it to GIF, it is labeled as idle fund by the Minister of Finance. And what did they do? They now, as usual, corruption, things that will bring money into their pocket. They took that so-called idle fund from Bank of Ghana, gave it to a private bank. And if you check the directors of those private banks and directors of GIF, you won't be surprised why it was done so. It was all a means to create loot and share. Now this private bank takes the money, gives it back to government, and whilst government gave it to him at 10% interest, they have already borrowed it at about 10.8%. Now they are giving it to the private bank at 10% or 11% interest. And the private bank is giving it back to government at 24%. Does it make sense? So if you add the Eurobond 10-point-something% to the 24%, government is paying over 30-something% on the $250 million.
When it would have paid 10.7%.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Ordinarily.
And the point is that if you didn't need the money, why did you borrow? And it's not a money that you can even have the convenience of keeping idle. When you owe contractors, we have recently been threatened again by Nigerian gas that if we don't pay our debt, they are likely to cut gas to Ghana.
And that will lead to doomsday again.
Worsen the doomsday, which we are already facing in the country. So I don't know why this government has the luxury to misplace its funding priorities and say that some funds are idle. It is only a means to create loot and share. And that is the hallmark of President Mahama. Corruption here, corruption there, corruption everywhere. And that is why he cannot look into the cameras, look into the face of people and say, I have not taken bribes, I am not corrupt. When Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo can stand shoulder high and say, I am not corrupt, I have never been corrupt, and will never be corrupt. So give me the opportunity to govern this country. And indeed, we have seen him in government before as foreign affairs minister in various ministries he occupied. He never used any government house. He stayed in his house. He never used any government vehicle. Even there was times that government as a policy were giving out government lands to qualified ministers who could apply. Nana Addo got the opportunity. He said, I don't like it. This is one man who has stood the test of time, that he doesn't touch public funds. And when we give him the opportunity, all this mismanagement going on with the dissipation of public funds going into friends and cronies and allies of government, even within the NDC, in spite of all this massive corruption going on. If you are not close to the president or its family, if you are not part of the Mohammeds or the Ibrahims, or close to the wife, forget it. All these juicy contracts will not come to you. Because almost every major contract in this country is sole sourcing. And it comes usually with directive from the office of the president. If you follow the documentation that have been released on the bus branding, it was a letter which emanated from the office of the president directing the Minister of Transport to give the contract to Smarties.
And to use petroleum revenue.
And specifically to use petroleum revenue to pay. So clearly you see that the source of the corruption is from the presidency. No wonder almost all the survey that has been coming out, the presidency is found to be the most corrupt institution in this country. So clearly there's a problem with President Mahama. The presidency is supposed to be a fountain of honor and respect and trust. President Mahama has reduced it to corruption, bribery scandals every day, and virtually the presidency is on its feet. It is one of its lowest public perceived corrupt office in the country, as never before under President Mahama.
Hobson, 72% of the respondents in the IEA poll rated the presidency as the second most corrupt institution in our country today. The presidency is headed by Mr. John Dramani Mahama, but he has said that he's fighting corruption. Do you believe it when the president says he's fighting corruption?
I will not believe President Mahama. Now, I can say that if we move from corruption, you know, corruption has graduated to thievery. What is happening now is not corruption, it's thievery, broad daylight. They steal from our coffers. You know, when it comes to corruption, I am passionate because I run a tax protection group, and we need to protect our taxes. Yes. President Mahama and corruption, they are inseparable. In fact, I would say they are like Siamese twins. Yes. Are you getting it? The moment you mention corruption, it's a household name. What will come to your mind is John Dramani Mahama. Corruption in Ghana, the moment you mention, even class 1 people will just mention John Dramani Mahama. So it's a canker. We need to fight it. You know, previously it was a challenge. Now we've moved from that. It's now a crisis, endemic, and we need to fight it. You know, the video you just showed, it's just unfortunate that a whole president would disgrace us to this extent.
On a BBC
Simple question.
Platform.
Simple question. Have you taken a bribe before? No. You are true. Yeah. But do you know that his conscience will never permit him? You know,
to give a direct answer.
I'm telling you, if he should say no, that day we could have maybe slept well. So all what he needs to do is to dance around the thing. But we thank the interviewer. In fact, he did well. We want Ghanaian media to follow suit. You know, when we are interviewing president, we should not
be intimidated.
It should not be a romance thing. You know, point to him. Direct question on corruption. President, we know this, that, and that. Look at the contracts that they've offered. So sourcing. Why? These were the things they were doing. When MPP took over, they saw that to do. President Kufuor said, no, this thing must stop. That's why Procurement Act came into place. Now, the sourcing was there for specific emergencies. Are you getting it? Something may happen, and we may need money to do, to fix it immediately. You cannot wait and then open a tender and all that. So let us give some window so that at least we can use some kind of emergency approach to fix the situation. These people has taken undue advantage of the sole sourcing, and they are murking us. Look, one of the vehicles they use, you see a company like Zoom Lion. Let me be specific. What is he doing? He has over 60 products. None of them is on market for individuals to patronize. All the over 60 models, they sell it to government. So who is paying? The two of us. Our taxes. Are you getting it? They don't do any work, then they pay them huge amount. President and his cronies will go there and then, take their share. So we need to check all these things. When it comes to corruption, look, NDC has no moral right to say that we are fighting corruption. What have you done? All the laws we used to fight corruption was passed by MPP. Look, the first thing that helped us fight corruption is the criminal libel. You know, previously, who are you to say someone is corrupt or something? No, you don't have that right. The next day, maybe your office, if they don't bring that, you know, those kind of things. But Nana Akufo-Addo as Attorney General, President Kufuor as President of the Republic of Ghana, knowing that, look, we are in government, media will bash us this upon all that. They say, look, we need to, liberate the airways for people to speak their mind. It will help us to check corrupt activities and all that. So that law was repealed, and it gave the media the chance. And the MPP, you know, they say, oh, this man is this, that. I quite remember, I don't want to mention him, but one of the ministers in Central Region also, the way the media was on him, this, that. And President Kufuor, I quite remember, one day reprimanded him, and then the next action was his exit from the office. From government. Are you getting it? That shows that, yes, a government who is serious to fight corruption. Under MPP, a sitting minister was prosecuted in jail on corrupt activity. When you look at
Minister of Sports.
Former Minister of Sports. When you look at the situation, the minister himself, I can say maybe he did not take the money and spend himself, but his negligence landed him where he went. Are you getting it? But today, what do we see? You can see a deputy minister who has never worked before. His first workplace is as a minister, a deputy minister. And this person can have about 25,000 Ghana cedis in his boot. How much is it?
Stolen at the washing bay.
Washing bay. My driver should go and wash my car, and then he was able to steal 25,000 Ghana cedis from your boot. Hey, are we serious as a country? A deputy minister? Even if you decide not to use a penny of your salary, and decide to save throughout, can you, mobilize that fund
amount of money
and then leave it in your boot? That one should tell you the booty, booty of what he had is what was in the boot for someone to steal. And he was bold enough to come out and then, justifying all kinds of things. Look at Evisa Frianga and Kojo Eduasare. When the moment I mentioned these two names, then I remember the shortest quotation in the Bible.
Jesus wept.
And Jesus wept. Are you getting
and
it?
Jesus wept.
You remember
Viewers, we will be going for a quick commercials. We've been discussing corruption under President Mahama. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a jiffy. Welcome back. We will take some messages from our viewers. This one from Issa Mahama Osborne, a polling station youth organizer, says, "Good work there by the host and his panelists. I can't stop watching Minority Caucus for any other thing. NPP all the way. My warm greetings to my parliamentary candidate for Boale Bamboy, Madam Veronica." Another one from he hasn't mentioned his name. He said that the president can no longer take Ghanaians for granted. He has been building his family and friends, and all contracts in the BA has been given to the Deputy Minister of Local Government, brother-in-law of the First Lady. Corruption everywhere. And this one is coming from the Brona-Hafo region. Jimmy Ansa in Shaiso, he writes that where are the 800,000 jobs the president has been making noise about? The lies are too much. And he's a member of the NPP Ashanti Regional Communications team. And this one says, It saddens my heart when I hear about SADA and the likes. We Northerners are so disappointed with the NDC, and we will vote them out come November 7. And it is sent in by Sani Shakur. This one from Frederick Achao in Kumasi, and he writes, this station used to show a documentary on SADA, and in conclusion, President J.M. and Asontaba's MD pictures were placed side by side. It was emphatical that the guy got all the contracts, the guinea fowl, tree planting, laptop, because of his relationship with the president. The documentary also shows how he sponsored JM stores and provided billboards. You create, loot, and share. We'll quickly come back to take some of the text message, but in the meantime, I'll get back to my guests for us to continue the discussion. Lord John Kumar, yes, somebody raised a very important issue about SADA.
Yes.
I am a Northerner from Yendi. I know the poverty levels in the north. When you go to the northern region, you see poverty. I mean, you don't need anybody to tell you that the people are living in abject poverty. NPP muted an idea to help close the development deficit between the north and the south. The NDC copied that idea in the form of SADA. SADA has been riddled with corruption, but the president believes that he's using SADA as a vehicle to transform your north, to transform the north. Do you agree to that?
Maybe he's using SADA to enrich his pockets and the pockets of his friends and cronies. You see, it is very sad that you look at SADA, and the leadership of SADA are all people from the north who are well educated and should know better. People who have benefited from northern scholarship funds, and it is their turn to give back to the nation what they learned, and all they did was to create, loot, and share, to embezzle the funds that were allocated to SADA, and no development, in fact, absolutely no development can be pointed to in the north and be attributed that this project has been successful under SADA, and it has brought some little or minimal improvement in the life and welfare of the people in the north. And it is very sad that all these things are happening at such a time that we have the president coming from the north. And it is, I don't know what legacy that President Mahama has left for the people of the north to be proud of him, that as a proud son of our land, when you came, you knew our problem and you helped to solve it.
And was part of a government for 8 years and led it.
And you were the leader and president of this country for 8 years, and you could not solve even one problem. And you see, the worst aspect is that even those who embezzle the funds, because they are his friends and cronies, nothing has been done to them. And up to today, the people of the north are still waiting for these guinea fowls to return from Burkina Faso, where we were told all the birds flew to. So these are serious problems. It is very disheartening. And I don't know what campaign that he will go back to the 3 northern regions and tell them that when I became president, I was also from the northern side of the country. And so I was able, when Nanado mooted the idea of the Northern Development Fund, it was not meant to enrich the pockets of friends and cronies of the president. It was meant to bridge, as you said, the development gap between the north and the south, which in fact is huge. But there are some few,
huge.
It's very huge. And there are some few things that if this government had been mindful in applying the scarce resources that we have in addressing this problem, they could have done. We are talking about 1 billion Ghana cedis gone waste. And Nanado pledged that I think every year they were going to put in $200 million. So within the term of the presidency, you should have almost $1 billion addressing specific sectors of the economy in the north.
No.
For instance, irrigation. We know water is a big problem up north when it comes to farming. So if they have pumped in enough investment into irrigation, then you are sure that at least in most part of the year, even if it's not year-round, in most part of the year, farmers are able to have their food crops running, and they are able to, produce enough raw materials. And that is when you can set up industries up north.
No.
And we are told that all those efforts have failed. The monies have found their ways in the pockets of people. That is very disappointing. And I believe that the people of the North should punish President Mahama and the NDC government for stealing the resources that was meant for their development. They should not say because he's their son. Because I don't think that's how they train their son.
In fact, one of the indicted officials is now the NDC parliamentary candidate for Damongu, for Mankarugu.
Exactly.
The boy Mankarugu constituency.
Exactly. And many others. In fact, almost all the leadership of SADA are high socially placed people from the North. And for me, it's a serious indictment on their own integrity. And they are taught for their own people. You see, when you want to even generalize the amount of hardship in the system, come to think about the poor people in our country now. For once in Ghana, the amount of electricity bills we pay in a month is higher than our rent. And it is no joking business. My office in Adabraka, we pay rent of 300 cedis a month. But our electricity bill for the past 3 months is not less than 600 cedis a month.
Wow.
Yes, that is how much we pay. Sometimes you buy electricity 100 cedis and it takes only 3 days. And you have to go and buy again. So by the time the month has ended, you have paid about 600 Ghana cedis. And people are paying thousands of cedis for electricity alone. You have to talk about water. You have to talk about utility. Look, when President Kufuor, in his days, in 2006, 2007, when there was world crunch and fuel prices had rocketed to $147, he sold price of fuel in Ghana for 5 cedis. The NDC said he was insensitive, and given the opportunity, they were going to reduce it drastically. That was the word, drastically. Today, the world price crude has fallen up to $28. It's gone up back to 45. I think last week it was about $44 per barrel. And we are buying it almost 17 cedis. 17 cedis.
Wow.
That is incredibly wicked. That is heartless on the part of President Mahama. And you see, he doesn't have a choice. It's like pouring water in a basket with holes. All the waters keep on leaking. It is because of corruption and mismanagement, almost all the resources that came into the system have gone waste. So all the time, government needs money.
Yeah,
And he's forced to tax the people. And in spite of the much taxes and much monies that they are taking from the people and emptying our pockets and bringing much hardship on us, they are still not having enough to develop because the monies are going into the pockets of President Mahama and not into the right places of investment. That is our challenge. As we speak, according to Panama leaked papers, President Mahama has various investments in the world. Dubai, Singapore, in millions of dollars. Where did he get those monies from? How much is his salary at the end of the month as president? And his allowances?
There's a report on the Ghana web suggesting that he's bought a 5-star hotel in Dubai.
In
millions
fact,
of dollars.
If you get to Dubai today and you are from Ghana, your Nigerian friends will start telling you, oh, this property is for your president. They are able to pinpoint. In fact, the moment you get to Dubai, people will start showing you various investments of President Mahama and his cronies. And I'm told that one of the leading countries that have invested in Dubai of late, their survey came out, Ghana was topping the list. And almost all the investments there, you either link it to President Mahama or his cronies. Where did they get all these monies from? It is the corruption we are talking about. All the monies are ending in his pocket and in the pocket of cronies. His brothers control almost all the juicy contracts in this country. Why is it that the Procurement Act has now become a sole sourcing act? The exception has now become the rule.
The general rule.
And it is unbelievable the extent to which the office of president influenced the award of contracts in this country. And he had audacity, after lying to us that he has not taken bribe, to say that he does not influence corruption, the award of contracts. And see, after he lied that he has not taken bribes, he said that what you do is that you position yourself so that you don't get yourself involved in procurement and award of contract. But they were asking you, your person, not your office as president. So, you know, he's so
because
corrupt.
Because the human being runs the office.
Exactly. So tell us that you are corrupt, so that at least we can pity you. And I strongly agree with my brother when he says that corruption and President Mahama are like Siamese twins. You cannot separate them. And the only way we can separate them from Ghana is to vote President Mahama out on November 7th. We need to take this country from these looters, these critters and looters and sharers who don't think about the welfare of Ghana, and especially the welfare of their own people, whom we as a nation, we agreed and accepted to allocate special funds to help their development. He has wasted it. He didn't think about their welfare. And now, when you go to the south, go to the marketplaces, almost all the Kayayis, they are coming from the north because you could not create economic opportunities for them up north. And what message are you going to tell them this time? We must vote out President Mahama so that when Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo comes, he can go back to the Northern Development Authority idea he spoke about. It will not be a propaganda. It will be a reality of economic development. It will be a reality of improving the welfare of the people of the North.
Let me bring in Hobson at this stage. We have borrowed the equivalent of $37 billion. We have received a lot of revenue from our taxes. But in spite of all these resources, development does not match up to the resources that we have had. Cost inflation in public projects. The 7th minister under this government has said that he is concerned about the cost of public projects in this country. Many have said that, including your very self, that it is through public projects that government is stealing from the people.
Yeah, I agree. You know, from what my brother said, let me just touch on it a bit, on SADA. And before I speak on this, you are coming from Yendi. My warm greetings to the regent. It's my close friend.
Oh, okay.
And then Chief Bawa of Tamale. And then they are all watching, so I greet all of you. Please. Myself, John Kuma, Titus Grover, Richard Nyama, the four of us, we took SADA as our own baby. We went to the north.
Series of demonstrations.
Series of demonstrations. When we went there, the NDC goons, who didn't even think about their welfare, were threatening us. And I told them, look, Richard Nyama is coming from the north. Myself, I'm coming from the Volta region. Titus Grover is coming from the Greater Accra. Only John Kuma coming from the Ashanti region. So they should not be deceived that people from Ashanti region coming to, even if we're all coming from Ashanti region, is it wrong to fight for you? Are you getting it? We staged series of demonstrations. Right from there, President Mahama, as the then vice president, rushed to Tamale, presented a check to, is it Gilbert Idi?
Idi.
100 million Ghana cedis.
At the time.
Then 3 weeks later or a month later, when we checked, nothing went there. Are you getting it? We were there when his spokesperson, John Jinapo, came out that they've secured $340 million to push into SADA. Our checks show that nothing went there. So all these monies, where did it go? And we know President Mahama personally liable to the tune of $746 million that has gone waste, stolen, or misappropriated. Are you getting it? So for Mahama, when we are talking about corruption, you cannot, take him out of the whole show. Look at the various contracts that they've given. Why is it that Brazilian company is the sole company that every major contract they give it
about 70%?
Are you getting it? Now, we've given them up to $1.3 billion contract in this country. And if you look at this, it's not a small money that we are talking about, though. But look at this interchange that always, a second interchange. Look, I stayed in Germany for some time. Every city in Germany, interchanges, you can count not less than 50. You can count not less than 50. Nobody, no politician will say, we've done this, we've done that. No. All they need is the policies that will keep the people going.
That's it.
Bread and butter issue. That is what they are looking for. So if you look at this, it should tell you that NDC and President Mahama, all they need is to, dip their hands into the public office and then steal our money. We are suffering today. Like he's saying, people are paying high tariffs and all that, all because of corruption.
Yes.
The problem we are facing today is not technical. But Dr. Bawumia said it. It's not technical, but it's financial. Now they are telling us that FPSO?
FPSO.
Broke down.
Yeah. It's not true. It's not true. Because there's no money to buy fuel to power all these machines. They have to use that as a way, to deceive the public. It's not true. Look, we were told car power is in. Car power has brought about 250 megawatts.
And that deal itself is riddled with corruption.
Right. And all these things. Now, today, we are scheduling only 300 megawatts. So where is car power? So are they telling us Akosomo is no more running? Are they telling us the thermal plants are no more running? Are you getting it? Because we cannot get money to buy fuel to power all these plants, we are suffering. And ECG, for them to also, run their, what they will do is, to dupe the public. We were told that tariffs were increased to about 52 or something percent, not knowing there was another 10% hidden somewhere, added without telling the public. So President Mahama, when you say president is a liar, someone will say you are insulting him. It's not an insult. If you don't tell the people the truth and then you lie, you become a liar. Are you getting it? So President Mahama and his government, they are liars.
If you steal, you are a stealer.
They are, when you say stealer, people will not understand. They are thieves.
And for President Rawlings admit
they are thieves.
Yeah.
President Rawlings said it. He said,
65%.
once we are fighting hard to clear all the thieves, when 40% left, about 60% has joined again. You see, President is now quiet. President Rawlings is now quiet because
he's disappointed.
He's disappointed. He trusted that President Mahama would do something, not knowing he was the chief culprit. Go to Shangri-La. Find out who owns Shangri-La now. Go to Temaport. Go and find out the number of lands allocated to President Mahama's family. It will shock you. Go to Jubilee Terminal. They are now trying to take the company, the praise from the company who is operating and give it to President's brother.
Wow.
I am telling you all this.
So Bagbin was right. He said it was a government of family and friends.
I am told the brother of the president made a statement that before the brother leaves the presidency, he will have property in every corner of this country. And it's happening. So we can give state equipment that we've used our taxes to purchase, given to assemblies to work for us, then they give it to the brother. Had it not been some good Samaritans who saw it and then, like, he has taken it free of charge? All these things are happening. And do you think we can develop a nation like this way? People used to say Rome was not built in a day. But if Romans were stealing like how President Mahama is stealing now, could you think Rome could have been Rome today? No. So we need to stand firm. Look, Ghanaians, we are appealing to you. Let us stand firm. If MPP is in power and you are seeing this gargantuan corruption and all that, vote against MPP. President Mahama is stealing from our pocket. Look, the 3 northern regions, we are pleading with you. Your own brother, he said it, that yes, I am your own, so vote for me. You voted for him. Now, the money you should use to...
You have to wrap up quickly.
That's right. Improve your life. He's stealing all this money. He will come back and then deceive you again. Vote against him. Let us vote for someone. Look, when we say perception, it goes with something on. Nana Akufo-Addo, the perception about Nana Akufo-Addo is that he's not corrupt. Yes. And actually, in the rare terms, Akufo-Addo is not corrupt because he displayed it. When he was a minister, like Don Kuma was saying, fuel for ministers, he did not take it. Some allowances, he rejected all, per diems and all that. He was not taking it. So they know Nana Akufo-Addo is not corrupt. Perception about John Mahama, they know Mahama is corrupt. He has graduated from corruption to thievery. So he's a thief. President Mahama is stealing from our coffers, and we need to say it as it is. But here, the moment you say that, hey, he's a president, you have to withdraw and that. Someone is stealing from your coffers and you say we should withdraw. If the person is a thief and we cannot open our mouth and tell him that you are a thief, you continue to steal. So we need to let him know. Look, let me give you one quick decision. President Mahama is embracing the Transparency International's report that Ghana is the fifth country, this democracy survey that they did. Are you getting it? He said Ghana is fifth. President Mahama said, oh, awa too. The same organization said the whole Africa. President Mahama is number 2 thief on the continent. That's why you say you disagree. How can you disagree with that?
Thank you very much.
President Mahama is a thief, is corrupt, and he takes bribe.
The contrasting feature between Nana Akufo-Addo and President Mahama is that Nana Akufo-Addo is incorruptible. President Mahama cannot say that about himself even when he's put a direct question. For those of us who believe that corruption kills, it undermines our development, let us join forces and vote out NDC in 2016. See you next week for yet another interesting edition of Minority Caucus. Good night.